There is more than one way to skin a cat. I think that I've got this to work now. I'm just going to verify with somebody else that it's working. This is actually not the software that I was trying to use, but this is Facebook Live, which I think actually works. Let me just verify it. Okay, all right, so I'm told this is working. I'm going to keep talking until somebody tells me it's not working. So, once again, I'm Susan Boyer, and I write the Liz Talbot Mysteries, which is to say that I live vicariously through a figment of my imagination. Let's see. Oh, you are fine. Okay. All right. So I live vicariously through a figment of my imagination. Her name is Liz Talbot, and she's a private investigator who operates in the Charleston, South Carolina area. Now, I'm asked frequently why I write private investigator mysteries. And there are, I think, three reasons. One is, as a child, I loved Nancy Drew. I wanted to be Nancy Drew. That was my first career goal. I'm sure I'm not alone, probably. A lot of y'all also wanted to be Nancy Drew because Nancy Drew was, she was just my idol when I was that age. So anyway, I love Nancy Drew. I wanted to write about a detective because of Nancy Drew. So that's the first reason I write private investigator mysteries. I've just always wanted to. My parents frowned on that idea, by the way. But anyway, so the second reason I do it is I think I want to write, I want the sense of righting a wrong. So often in this world, things go awry that people can't put right. So I want to, at least fictionally, write something that's wrong. So, I can kind of do that through my books. And then the other reason, I think, is because I'm just not quite right. Now, my brain does not work like normal people's. And I'm going to give you an example. There was an article one day in the newspaper about someone who someone found ground up glass in their nasal spray. And so I'm thinking to myself, there was like a recall on all the products. It was a certain brand, I think, and there was a recall. And so I'm thinking, ooh, what if somebody saw this recall and threw it away so that their wife couldn't see that it had been recalled and gave them the nasal spray and ground up some glass and put it in it. I don't know. I was just thinking about ways to use this thing that had happened and create a mystery from it. So I'm not quite right. My brain just doesn't work like normal people's. That's the third reason. So private investigators, that's the deal with that. Another question that I'm asked frequently, and someone asked me, is how much of Liz Talbot is in me, or how much of me is in Liz Talbot? And the answer to that is quite a lot, actually. Liz and I both come from the same background, Southern background. We both grew up in small Southern towns. We both love great Southern food. We both love Southern beaches. We have lots of things in common. There are a few things we don't have in common. Liz is much younger than I am. She is much thinner than I am, but she's not skinny, because if she was skinny, I'd have to hate her, and then where would we be? She is braver than I am. For example, I myself have never jumped from a running jet ski into a running boat while someone was shooting at me. But if you have read Lowcountry Book, then you know that Liz actually has done this, because I make that up and give it to her to do. So I'm living vicariously through her, but I'm also giving her things to do that I think would be fun. I guess that's kind of the same thing, right? Yes. Okay. So I'm living vicariously through her. I'm letting her do all the things that I think up that would be fun or challenging or exciting or whatever. So she's much braver than I am. She's younger, braver, thinner. Her skin is better. Her hair is much better behaved. We have some things in common, but there are some differences too. So Liz is, I know where Liz lives. I know Liz's heart. She is very much like me. Okay, another question I've gotten is, why a fictional town? Well, I'll tell you. I wanted a small Southern town. I wanted Liz to have that same small Southern town background that I had. And I wanted it to be near Charleston, because I knew that in that small Southern town, I could only drop so many bodies before it became unbelievable. So I needed Liz to live close enough to a bigger town or a bigger city, or Charleston, so that she could go there and get clients for some of her stories, for some of the books. So that's why that's why a small town near Charleston is fictional, because I can do anything with that town that I want to. If I decide in book 3 that I need an art gallery someplace I didn't have one in book 1, I can add it. I don't have to, worry about getting the details right because it's something that's made up. I own that island. I own everything on it. Now, if my characters come into Charleston or Mount Pleasant or Sullivan's Island or Isle of Palms, any of those real places, in Greenville, even if they're in Greenville, everything that happens there is real with one or two exceptions. The things that are not real are things I had to make up. For example, I needed a restaurant in Lowcountry Bordello in Charleston that something unpleasant had happened in. And I personally have never been to a restaurant in Charleston where something unpleasant happened, so I had to make that up. I made a restaurant up that I used in that book and put a scene there that, you know, if you've read the book, you'll recognize it. But that's not a real restaurant. But all the other restaurants in that book, and most of them in all the books, are real. So I use real places when my characters come off the island. Okay, I have, now I'm starting to get things on the screen over here so I can see if you ask me a question, I think I can answer it, but I do have some from earlier. So let's see, what did I do with that? Okay, so one of the questions was, what is Diet Cheerwine? So, okay, there's a soft drink in North Carolina. It's made in North Carolina called Cheerwine. It's my favorite soft drink, so it's also Liz's favorite soft drink. In the first few books, Liz drinks Diet Cheerwine because for a while I was drinking Diet Cheerwine because calories. But then I found, you know, a lot of research that I didn't like about artificial sweeteners. So I stopped drinking anything with artificial sweeteners. So later in the series, Liz does too. So you will see that she actually is drinking regular Cheerwines later on instead of the diet ones, because that's what we do now. So if Liz and I, you know, we're together on that. So the thing that's different though is that she loves, I don't know why this is, but she loves the Dove's dark chocolate promises. And to write her, for some reason, I need Linder milk chocolate truffles. I don't know why this is different. It's just one of those crazy things. But she came to me that way, needing Dove dark chocolate promises, and so she got them. But I like the milk chocolate truffles. Who knows what's going on with that? Okay, let's see. One of the other questions, are any of your characters based on real people? Okay. I do not write about real people. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. However, I will use things that people say, things that people do, mannerisms, things like that. My dad has this thing that he does. It looks like this. It's like when he's thinking about something, he does this chopping thing back and forth. Liz's dad does that same thing because I took it from my dad. There are a few other things that my dad has done that I've used for Liz's dad. I will tell you right now, there's a scene in Lowcountry Boneyard. If you have read it, Liz's daddy does something outrageous. My daddy did that. Yep, that's real. I took that. I own that. That's my family. He did that, and so I think I can use it. Now, my daddy does not read fiction. So he doesn't really know that I sometimes use things that he says and does. I'm reasonably certain that he would not sue me if he found out. My mother thinks it's funny, and she does read. She reads all my books, and she gets a big kick out of it because she knows that I use things that he says. And sometimes when I write in a book, I'll call her and I'll say, Mom, I need something crazy Daddy did for this book. What's he done lately? And she'll just start telling me, you know, something that he's done. And she'll tell me a few things, and I pick something that I like, and then I'll take it and just make something bigger out of it. Sometimes I start with a kernel of something that my dad did, and it becomes something much bigger that Liz's dad did. But the thing in Lowcountry Boneyard with the rats, that was real. It happened just like that. The day my sister brought the man who is now my brother-in-law home to meet the family for the very first time, that happened. Insane. Okay, so next question. How did you come up with the title for Lowcountry Boil? I don't know. It really just was always in my head as kind of a metaphor for, you know, a story that had just a lot of things going on, and you just add a bunch of things to the pot, and then the pot starts to boil, and then suddenly you've got an issue and it's just boiling over. And so I just had this, you know, you've got the sausage, the potatoes, the corn, you've got all the things in the Lowcountry Boil, and I just had that image that this would be a good title for this book the whole time I was writing it. And fortunately, my publisher liked the title as well, and they didn't make me change it. And then it was a happy accident that my last name starts with B-O, and now I'm writing books where the second word, they all start with B-O. But the second book, because it has a Marilyn Monroe tie-in, Lowcountry Bombshell was the logical title for that. And again, my publisher liked it. So we stuck with that. But then I had a pattern going. And so one day, the lady who was my agent at the time, she called and she said, your publisher wants to put books 3 and 4 under contract. Do you have a synopsis? And I said, no. And she said, do you have titles? And I said, let me call you back. So I pulled out the dictionary and I looked up words that started with BO, and I picked out 2 that I thought, would be good. And I called her back and I said, they're going to be Lowcountry Bordello and Lowcountry Boneyard, unless you can think of something better. And she laughed. She said, no, those are good titles. And so now I had a pattern going. So now everywhere I go, I make a list of words that people give me, or words that come up, or words that I run across that start with BO. And so far, I'm doing okay with it. But I think at some point I'm probably going to run out of words that start with BO that make good book titles. But after that, after the thing with Bordello and Boneyard, it became the writing prompt. It's like I need to start with the title, and then that gives me the story. So I have the title. Okay, Lowcountry Boneyard. What's that going to be? Well, of course, in the Lowcountry, it can mean 2 things. A boneyard is a beach with all these dead trees that the salt water has gone into and kind of killed the vegetation of the trees and whatnot. And so you've got these dead trees around, and so that's a boneyard. And then, of course, a graveyard is another kind of boneyard. So I use that double play on the words in Lowcountry Boneyard. And then Lowcountry Bordello, I had to think of a story to go with that. And that was a lot of fun too. Okay, so next question. Blah, blah, let's see. No, that's my scribbles. Okay, I did that. Let's see. Oh, okay. Jackie asked, are you thinking of a new series or a standalone book once this series is done? I have several ideas in my head, but most of what I'm thinking about right now are standalones that could be sort of a series in the, not like a mystery series, but like a series of books that take place in somewhere where maybe the first book is about someone who lives in this town, and the next book is about someone else who lives in this town, but they're friends, and so they're kind of connected like that. It might be that kind of series, but not the kind of series where it's like a mystery series where you're solving a different mystery in every book. I don't think I'll do anytime soon another series like that. I think, for a while I want to work on some standalone projects that are really more women's fiction kinds of thing. But you never know. It just depends on what ideas pop into my head. I have an overactive imagination, and I need to know, I need to kind of follow that where it goes and see. All right, let's see if there are more questions here. Oh, wow, I needed to scroll down. Oh, Rachel was Nancy Drew when she was in nursing school. Okay. All right, I'm scrolling down. Okay, I finally got Cheerwine. Wanda, yay, you got Cheerwine. Hello, everybody. I'm just scrolling down. Hey, Chrissy. Oh, you like Diet Cheerwine? Hey, Pam. Beverly. Hello, Barbara. Susan. Rachel, Davy. Hello, everybody. I'm not used to doing this way. I usually have the software and I can see a little bit more, but now I'm just using the Facebook Live thing. So, okay, Eileen is asking, how long will the Liz and Nate series continue? The plan right now, as I sit here talking to you this evening, is that there will be 2 more books. The next one is Lowcountry Boondoggle, and that is due out. It's scheduled on May 19th. And then after that, there will be 1 more, and that's Lowcountry Boughs of Holly, and that would kind of wrap things up for this series for now. There would be a turning point there, possibly more books with Liz and Nate down the road, but things would have sort of changed. And I can't really say more about that right now. That's my plan at this point. Things can change. That's really all I can say about that right now. But okay, let's see what other questions we have. I'm so happy y'all are here. All right, let's see. I've got a lot of, okay. Eileen says, is it easier to write books in a series? I don't know. In some ways it is, because you have the characters already developed. And, every time you start a book, you've already got some of the settings down. You've got some of the characters down. So you don't have to really start from scratch. But then it gets to be tricky because you have to remember all that stuff. I have a spreadsheet just for all the things I need to remember about the series, all the different locations, how I've described them, the characters, their mannerisms, who they're related to. Y'all, I have a tree in Ancestry.com just for these fictional characters and all their ancestors. The main characters I've traced back to, oh gosh, how far? I don't know, several generations. So I have, and I did that for a reason, because I didn't want to, if it became a long series, I didn't want to accidentally marry off cousins in this small town, because you could easily do that, right? Because you start out with a small town, you've got all these families that have intermarried year after year after year, and then generation after generation, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're marrying off cousins, and that becomes a Southern cliche nobody wants. So, I'm seeing the hearts, and I just saw somebody make the angry face. I hope I didn't make anybody mad. Oh dear, that's not good. I'm just, all right. I didn't mean anything by the cousins thing. Okay, so Chrissy wants to know, how did you develop Colleen? I love her. I love her too, Chrissy. Colleen, it's an interesting thing how this happened. Colleen was not in the book as I wrote it to begin with. It wasn't in the first few drafts of Lowcountry Boil. Colleen wasn't in there. The character did not exist. And I was going to critique groups, and I was working on the book, and I was, I was maybe 2 drafts in. And I was just thinking one day, Liz has this overdeveloped sense of responsibility. She wants to make everything all right for everybody. And I was thinking, what makes her that way? What makes her that? I'm just mulling, I'm drinking tea on the porch, I'm just mulling, I'm thinking about it. And then I thought, something happened when she was really young and she feels responsible. A friend of hers died and she feels responsible. And she wasn't, but she feels responsible. And this just haunts her. And then that word, haunting, it just started flashing on and off in my brain in red neon. And I thought, this is Charleston. I can have a ghost. And so I went back and I wrote her in, and I really liked it. And after that, subsequently, when I was querying agents and whatnot, there was an agent who wanted to represent me. And when you have never been published and you're trying to get an agent, oh my gosh, that's the hardest thing in the world to get an agent. And there was an agent who was a fairly well-known agent who had read my manuscript and said that she would represent me, but I had to get rid of the ghost. I had to rewrite it and get rid of the ghost. And I just couldn't do it, because at that point I was so attached to my little ghost girl, and I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it. So I went a different way, and things worked out, but it just wasn't the right thing for me, and it wasn't the right thing for that book. And I knew that. And I think you have to be true to yourself, when you put that much of yourself into something. So I kept my ghost girl, but I love Colleen. And she's been a wonderful source of humor and just a way to really get things across that I probably couldn't, although I don't let her solve the mysteries. And I think y'all will back me up on that. I really don't ever want Liz to let Colleen solve the mysteries for her. Liz has to do the work. I want her to work hard for the money. The girl charges an arm and a leg. She needs to work for the money. So Colleen is an interesting part of it that I really enjoy, and I'm glad y'all like her too. I wasn't sure at first how that was going to go over, but I really enjoyed her, and I've been really happy with the way readers have responded to her. Okay, let's see. Oh dear. I'm going to miss Liz. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. I promise. It's just, okay, are you as hygiene conscious as Liz? Rachel wants to know. I will be honest. She gets the hand sanitizer thing from me. She gets that honest. She also gets her, the thing where she doesn't want to like dig through the trash and she has to put on the gloves and all that, that she gets from me. The sort of squeamish about germs, she gets that from me. She gets it honest. Leanne Roberts says we need a book on Colleen. That's an idea. I'll have to think about that. There might be a way to do that. Let's see. I'm glad I kept her too. Thank you, Chrissy. Let's see. Who else have we got here, and what do they want to know? All right, everybody. Y'all like Colleen. Thank you. I appreciate that. Colleen appreciates that. We all appreciate it. Okay, let's see. If I've got any other questions here, I'll try to answer them. I'm not sure if I've gone through all the ones that I had on my list or not. I don't want to not answer something. Okay, let's see. I explained the BO titles. I explained where the titles came from. I told y'all about how I don't write about real people ever. That can get you in trouble. Yeah. Let's see. Diet Cheerwine, we went through that. Why a Fictional Town, we went through that. Let's see. All right, I think I've covered everything. Let's see. Do your books have any truth to them pertaining to the character stories you've heard through the years? Now, that's a different thing. Sometimes people have told me stories and they've said, you can use this if you want to. And that happened once. Actually, my caterer, and the woman who caters my launch parties, I met her because she invited me to her house to do, she had like 4 book clubs come together, and they did a Lowcountry Bowl. This was after this book was out, and her husband actually cooked it, and it was just a big spread at her house with 4 book clubs and all kinds of stuff. And we got to talking afterwards, her and her husband and me, and he was telling me the story about something that had happened a long time ago, and I got such a kick out of it. And he said, you can use that if you want to, and I did. I put it in Lowcountry Bordello. It's the thing that happens with Liz's soon-to-be mother-in-law in that book. And if you've read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Something very similar to that actually happened at the rehearsal dinner where she goes outside. That actually happened, and I got that story from somebody. So sometimes I take things that happen, stories that people tell me, and I kind of change them a little bit, and I give them to my characters, and that makes them different too. But it might be something that somebody's told me. Sometimes I do use those things, but only if somebody tells me I can. I don't take a piece of somebody's life that they don't want me to use and do that. I don't think I've ever done that. I certainly try not to do that. Let's see. No, Rachel, you're not alone in your germophobia. Beverly, I love Mom and Daddy too. They're quite a lot like my mom and dad. I'm reasonably certain they won't sue me. If anybody knows them, I don't want to push that. Okay, was there a special pup in your life that inspired Chumley? Actually, yes. Several. My parents, our family, we owned Basset Hounds the whole time I was growing up. And somewhere, I think it was for Throwback Thursday, maybe on my Facebook page, I posted a picture of me with 2 Basset Hounds. It was when I was, I don't know, maybe in my early 20s. And the Bassets were Churchill and Shirley. And Shirley was a girl that her name was Shirley, but her actual name was Sherlock Holmes. The people that had owned her had named her Sherlock Holmes. We got her, I don't know, they had taken her back and given her up for some reason, and we adopted her after she had a name. And they had called her Shirley, and we didn't want to confuse her, so we called her Shirley too. But it was Sherlock Holmes was the dog's name. So yes, Churchill and Sherlock Holmes. Bascom Henry, my dad named that dog. I have no idea where that came from. That was a Basset we had later. There was one named, I'm losing track. We had a lot of Bassets, and over the years, from the time I was small until I was grown and was leaving home. And then my parents had Bassets after that for a while, and we loved them. We're huge Basset Hound lovers. So I wanted a Basset in these books, and I wanted Mama and Daddy to have the Basset. And I asked my dad to help me, and he helped me name that dog, Chumley. And of course, we had a golden retriever after I was married and had kids. We had a golden retriever, and we had one named Buffett at one point. And so Liz in the book has a golden retriever. Okay, is Liz or her brother the oldest? Actually, Blake is the oldest. I made Liz the middle child. I'm not sure exactly why I did that. I think I just wanted her to have some of the middle child kind of hang-ups or whatever. And that's the thing that's different, because in my family, I do have a brother and a sister. My brother is not the chief of police anywhere, and he would fall out laughing at that idea. And my sister is not married. But I'm actually the oldest. My brother is the middle child, and then my sister is the youngest. Favorite writing place? Someone's asking me. I like writing in hotels because there are no distractions. I have such an easy time writing in hotels. Any hotel, doesn't really matter as long as it's clean and well organized and whatnot. I'll travel sometimes with my husband. He goes out of town on business every week. And so we'll be in a hotel room and he'll go to work. And then I go downstairs and have breakfast. And while I'm downstairs, somebody else cleans the room, brings fresh towels. And then I go upstairs and work all day uninterrupted. And then I can have dinner with him in the evening like normal people because we're both in the same place. There's hot coffee all day and fresh cookies at 4 o'clock, and I love that. It's very easy for me to write in a hotel room. And I like writing in my office in my pajamas and staying inside, especially if it's cold or rainy. I don't like going out. I like being here. Let's see. What else do we have? We love Bassets. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love Bassets too. Okay. All right. If anybody else has a question about the book or anything else you want to ask me, type it quick. Let's see. Does your mama have a lipstick obsession? Yes, yes. My mother, the whole thing about the lipstick, I absolutely got that from my mother. The whole time I was growing up, she did this to me and my sister both. She would just say, she would look at us and, we'd be telling her something dramatic that had happened or whatever. And she would say, honey, you'd feel so much better if you just put on a little lipstick. I mean, she said that to me. I can't count the times, and my sister both, and that was just her way, or that is just her way. She still does it. And so we always laugh about it. It's a joke between me and my sister. And so, yes, I wrote that into the book because that is my mother up and down. Hello, Dana from Savannah. New book coming out. Teresa, the new book is Lowcountry Boondoggle. It is scheduled for May 19th. As far as I know at this point, it will come out then. If that changes, I will let y'all know first. It'll be in the newsletter and on Facebook. I'll let everybody know. But as far as I know right now, that will be the release date. Do the different cities influence your writing when you travel? I don't think they really do, because I'm always pretty grounded in Charleston. I love Charleston, and actually I lived in Mount Pleasant for a while. My husband and I lived there when our kids were younger. We lived sort of in the old village or adjacent to the old village, and I just really loved that area. So I would take the kids to school and come home and ride my bike. We lived close enough I could ride my bike to Sullivan's Island and ride down the beach and, just soak in the beach in the morning and all that, and then ride home and, shower and all that, and then write until time to go get the kids at school. That was my day. And that's when I first started writing these books. That's when I knew that that would be my literary landscape. That's where I was going to write about. So I will often go to that area. I'll go to, because I live in Greenville, which is about 3.5 hours away from Charleston, but that's not very far. So I can go if I need to. I've gone down and back in a day before if I needed to see something. But I have also gone for 6 weeks and stayed in a condo at Isle of Palms and just immersed myself in it. So I do that when I need to, or I'll go for a week, or just whatever. I do what I can, but I do what I draw near to that area as often as I can. I live close by and visit often, but I think that impacts my writing much more, and the different cities I'm writing in really don't, because I just kind of get into that in my head. I'm in Charleston in my head, and I might be in Vermont writing about Charleston, but I'm still in Charleston. I hope that makes sense. Does your mom laugh when she reads that in your books? Yes, she does. She gets a big kick out of it. I love my mother, and I love putting her in there, little bits of her, and she gets a kick out of it. Hello, Susan from Birmingham. I think a lot of people use the thing about lipstick. I think that's not uncommon in the South. Pam wants to know, how did Stella Morris become the place for the story? Stella Morris is, and I'm sure y'all know, it's a made-up place, although I do get a lot of emails, people saying that they're having trouble making reservations for vacation, and they want to, but they can't find it, and could I help them? So I have to explain to them, you can only get there by book. I made that place up, and I borrowed the name from a church, as some of you know, in Sullivan's Island, because I just liked that name so much, and I thought it was fitting. And I sort of took, there's an island called Dewey's Island that's north of Isle of Palms. It's a small island. You can live there. It's a residential, it's kind of like a neighborhood. It's like a big neighborhood. And the streets are not paved. They're dirt roads. You have to drive a golf cart. There's no vehicular traffic, just golf carts. Well, golf carts are a vehicle, but there's no cars and trucks. So you take a ferry over there, you get out, and then you can drive around in a golf cart to your house or whatever. And you can only get on the ferry if you live there, or if your name's on a list because you're visiting or whatever. But you can't just get on the ferry and go over there. You have to have a legitimate reason. You have to be on the list. So that always kind of captured my imagination. And so I wanted to have a small southern town that I could give to Liz and her family. but I wanted it to be near Charleston. I couldn't find one that was exactly what I wanted, so I made up what is sort of, in my mind, a modern day Mayberry, and I put it on this island that's right near Charleston, and I just sort of erased Dewey's and put Stella Morris there, and I made that ferry that goes over there big enough to take cars, because I thought that would, we want to have cars on the island. We need to be able to have cars. That would just make things too difficult to not be able to have cars. So I sort of took pieces of Dewey's, pieces of Sullivan's, pieces of Edisto, pieces of Isle of Palms, pieces of a lot of beach towns that I've been to, and other small southern towns that I love, the one I grew up in, and other places, and just sort of rolled that into this modern day Mayberry and put it on that island outside of Charleston, because that to me is like the ideal place to live. And that's kind of what I'm doing with these books, is like I'm living out my dreams. I want to live on the beach, so Liz lives on the beach. I want to live near Charleston, so Liz lives near Charleston. I wanted to be a private investigator, so Liz is a private investigator. So pretty much everything in her life is sort of like she's like my avatar. It's like playing a video game and making the character do what you want it to do or whatever. So I just designed this world for Liz exactly like I wanted it, and I have her do all the things that I think would be fun. I also make her do the things that I don't want to do. For example, Liz runs on the beach every morning at 5 o'clock. Now, y'all, I do not run unless something with very big teeth is chasing me. But Liz does, because I know that's good for you, and I should run. Well, at least I should walk. Running, probably not. That might be dangerous, but I should walk. But Liz runs 5 miles on the beach every morning. And I have her do things that I think would be either good for me or fun, or she eats a lot better than I do too. Okay, let's see. I just moved from North Carolina to Savannah. I was in Charlotte. Hello, Dana. Let's see, Chrissy, did you take the name from the islands from the church name? I did. Stella Morris from the church in Sullivan's Island, because I just love that name so much. Let's see. Could you have Graham come to visit with Colleen? That's a good idea, Wanda. I would love for Graham to visit. We might do that. I like Graham. I like that character, and I hated having to kill her off. I spent a lot of time developing her. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Beverly. Okay, I think I have all the questions. I'm going to scroll back through here one more time and see if I can find any questions I have not answered. I don't see anything. Okay, all right. If y'all think of anything that you want to ask me at all, put it on this post. I think this will stay in the group. I know when I use the other software it would, but I think this live video will stay in the group. And if you have any other questions for me, just put them on this post and I will come back and answer them. And I just want to thank y'all so much for being a part of Lowcountry Book Club. I love that book club. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm getting lots of great ideas from y'all, and I just love being able to go in there and share and talk about books. And I thank you so much for reading my books. Thank you so much for connecting with Liz. I appreciate y'all so much, and I'm just really happy to get to know some of you that I didn't know before through the book club and through the books, and that just makes me really happy. All right, so I am going to sign. Oh, wait, I have a new comment. Okay. All right, I think I'm done. If you have any more questions, just put them here. I will come back and answer them. Thanks, y'all, and have a good. Oh, I forgot all about my wine. Cheers, y'all. Have a good evening.